guys, so brief update. Since the last time I posted, this will be video number 3. I'm in the process of obviously I pulled out the entire interior, dash included. Going to see about, next step is get everything out of the way. I got to pull the main engine harness out of the car, which actually comes from here to the old ECM on the center console up to the dash. I've also got like all my old wiring, my wideband, and battery cables and stuff like that that go to the trunk. So all that's got to come out of the car. And then we are going to rewire it. I need to get a harness for this thing. The biggest step today was actually seeing if this thing would fit. So this is like off the cuff, just throwing it in the engine bay to make sure that it will actually go. Got the engine basically where it will sit, except for the fact that it's leaning forward pretty hard because I don't have a great way to adjust it. Ideally, this thing is probably gonna sit back another 6-8 inches from the top, and the bottom will kind of stay where it's at, maybe a little bit farther forward. I don't know, it depends on what it looks like when we get the transmission installed on this thing. But I wanted to make sure that we go and measure the gap between the back side of the block and the frame rail to see how much room we had. The case, if it's the same, it's not the same one, I just figured that out, but the case off of a TSX, this is actually an empty case. My buddy let me borrow from lockup. It is 14 inches from back side of the block to the end of the case. So I knew I needed at least 14. And from back side of the block to the frame rail on the back side is just a little bit over 14. I think it's 14 and a quarter in the front because the DSM rail kind of gets narrow up toward the front, widens out a little bit. We've got about 14 and 3/4. So that tells me that at least if the element case is the same length, which I think that it should be, this should work, or at least fit in the hole. So next step is to pull the harness out. Obviously all this stuff's got to go. And then we will work on engine mounts. I think the easiest way to do this, after looking at it and thinking about it, is to buy a Hassport kit for like an EG Civic and use all of the motor mounts, especially like I know it uses a CRV side mount or post mount, whatever they call it. Make sure that all the engine mounts fit, and then fabricate from those mounts, which is a standard to the frame rails. That way, if I ever pull this motor out and decide to put it in something else, like a hatchback or something Honda related, or an EG, I guess, everything would be there to bolt up, at least the engine side of things. Maybe not so much the chassis side of things, but we are just making sure it fits. So it looks like it's going to, and we will move on to the next step. So appreciate it, and I guess we will see you again.